I'm Florence Ballard 3060, staying safe in quarantine. What's the machine?
Woke up this morning feeling fine.
Well, hello there, guys. How are you all doing? Hope everyone's keeping safe. Okay, so we can get straight to the point here. Today we're doing a video on following up the washing machine and appliance history video that I did about a week ago. This is the continued part, so that video didn't become a whole hour long. We're basically going to be talking about my most memorable and favourite washing machine and appliance experiences that I remember. So this is basically anything I remember that happened with a machine or another appliance. There's anything. It's in no particular order, it's just what comes off the top of my mind because I got so many to list, I can't actually remember when they happened, exact year. It's a long process to put them all in order, so I'm going to try not to make this one too long and just get straight to the point. So let's go. So I'm going to start with my most memorable one of all time. As you guys know, you probably see from my Instagram post, whenever I film my 9530, you probably notice that I often film it from the side and I'm stood about 5 foot away from the machine. We all know that many people as a child can, and if you can relate to any of these experiences, please put it in the comments. I'm sure that most people remember having a Hotpoint 9.5 series or one type of the 9.7 or 9.9 series, even a 1.8 series as a child. Most people remember seeing them. They're quite intimidating machines when they go into spin because if you hear the way they click off, it's not necessarily, you know, it's a very sudden sound that they make. And basically at the age of 3 in 2000, of course, you know, my parents don't live together, they're divorced, but my dad was not here at the time, he was with someone else, etc, etc. Basically, Dad had his workmate, one of his workmates' house. Now, me as a 3-year-old, this house looked massive. But it was a very weird layout, this kitchen. You walked in, big kitchen with like I think it was like an old Victorian house, like kind of what you see in Kensington. And the roof looked like, in this kitchen, looked like it was about 20 foot tall. It looks a very big kitchen. Kind of like what you'd have in an old school, basically. But you had the kitchen, and then to the left, there was like an extension going this way. And all I remember seeing was a load of cabinets. I don't know if it was a laundry room, maybe it just appeared that way to me. So I'm wandering around the house while my dad's talking in the other room, and I can hear the sound of a washing machine. And of course, that time I knew quite a lot of machines. I'd been to many houses with them. I started walking, and I came to the row of cabinets. About 10 foot down the aisle, there was a washing machine. It was a Hotpoint 9.5 series. It was the first prow door model I'd seen, because I'd seen flush doors one. I partially want to believe it was a 9530 or a 9534. I won't know whatever it was, because not only did I not get close to it, at the end of the day I didn't hear it do the final spin. So I don't know. It could have been a new generation for all I know, but most likely not. It was probably a 9534 or something. It was brown and white. I never saw an almond one as a child. So you can hear it distributing, so I just walked down to try and see it. And I was already afraid because I knew, this time I was afraid of any machine really, but it was the 9.5s that I feared the most because I knew what they were like. Other machines I could sort of go near, but I was still a bit thinking, not knowing what they do. I go down the aisle, and just as I start walking to what happens, the machine kicks into spin. I ran out of that kitchen like no tomorrow. And it was that experience that actually started off my thing of not wanting to be near them, because I've had similar experiences with my 953. I've come downstairs not knowing that the machine was going to spin. I've walked into the kitchen, it's gone to spin, and it scared the living daylights out of me. They do give you quite a fright. Of course, I am able to sit kind of near the machine now, not like I used to be. Also, I was really bad, you know, with those machines. So yeah, that was that. I don't know what machine it was. It could have been any Proud Door model. It might have been a washer dryer for all I know. But all I know is it just went into spin and it scared the living daylights out of me. That's all I remember. I ran and I hid upstairs in one of the bedrooms. I hid under the bed. Funny story. On the subject of Hotpoint 95 series, we'll also talk about my grandparents' machine, the Hotpoint 9516 electronic 800 Plus that they had. This is another one that didn't particularly help with my experience of the machines, because you remember in that last video of the history that I told you I was in this, it sat in the bathroom sink and it went into spin. Well, also in the house that they're in now, I remember that my granddad trying to get my hand and put it near the machine because it would shake. But also was scared of my Hotpoint WM51 that we had, because Mum used to use program. It was the first time I've ever seen Mum use program C, which was on that one. Obviously, it's white cotton, not 95 degrees Celsius white cotton. I don't know what Mum used to wash. I think she used to put white towels in with stuff. But she'd always do small loads. Those machines aren't particularly good with small loads, as you can see from the cassette at times. But whenever she'd do it, the machine would get really unbalanced, and that machine had a tendency to drag itself across our floor when it would spin, and it would end up slamming into the kitchen units beside it. It would move, and it would go bang, 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 bang into the... I mean, they weren't the most stable of machines anyway, even when brand new. So I used to call Program C scary whitewash as a kid, because I always remember running into the sitting room. We had a hatch in our kitchen where our TV is. You could look through, and it often used to see the machine like jump out when it would spin. It was a troublesome machine though, like for balancing, but mainly because my dad didn't level it. But yeah, remember that happening. That was another one. Hotpoints were quite intimidating to me as a child, but I wasn't really afraid of them that much. And of course, my one of the upstairs neighbours who recently moved out, they had a Hotpoint 9536, 37 or 38. I don't know. It might have been a 9535. Whatever it was a 1000 model, polar white, and it had like the shock absorbers were totally like non-existent on that. Well, they weren't even shock absorbers, it's suspension legs, but the suspension was just gone on that machine. And the dad always told us it would shake around, and I was scared to turn it on the first time. And I remember going in the kitchen and it was distributing. They did it on a synthetic cycle, and all you could hear was the machine going bong, 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 bong. The drum was like hitting the front of the machine, and it would take off into spin. I just remember it banging really hard. That terrified me of it as well. I didn't want to go anywhere near it. So yeah, that was another one that was quite scary to me as well. But moving on, let's bring up some more. So as explained in the last video, you also might remember that I was talking about the Whirlpool Solutions model that my Uncle Gary and Auntie Kate had in Wales. Well, I remember the first day she got it, and it did replace a Hotpoint 9526, which went to my nanny and granddad on my dad's side. So the first time, my Auntie Kate puts on the machine, and I sit in front of the machine, and I was the kind of person that would run into the sitting room and tell everyone what the machine was doing. And of course, I was always fascinated by the fact that Program B on that machine was not just called fast spin or like spin. It was called intensive spin, and that's what I've always loved about those Whirlpools. The Balknet ones say intensive Schluden as a way of intensive spin in German. So I was watching the machine spin, and that was another machine that kind of scared me because I wasn't expecting it to go into spin so quickly. But the machine was obviously spinning at 800, and I'm watching the machine. The dial advances, and all I hear is the machine slow down. So I knew the machine was meant to be a 1200 model, but I thought, oh, is that it? I knew the machine wasn't going that fast. And then it kicks, obviously it does what the Hoover Electrons and the Hoover Logics do. It slows down and it kicks back up and goes up to 1200. And I was like, what? I remember thinking it was faulty until about 5 years later I go on YouTube and I see videos of Frederick Sam's Whirlpool that he had, and I see the machine does that. I'm like, oh, I remember when it used to do that. So yeah, it was one of my other experiences there. I remember as putting that machine on for her, and my little hands couldn't turn the dial on that machine because those dials are quite hard to turn. And she would like, give it all your muscle, she said to me, and I'd be like, I thought I was going to break it one day. I was like trying to turn it that hard. I also remember seeing it at 1200 and seeing the side panel of the machine like tremoring at like full spin. And there's another one I'm going to throw up actually, and I hope my bro, Mr. Hotpoint Guy 16, watches this, Joe. When we're on the phone with each other, we always talk about Hotpoint because we both love Hotpoint. And I brought this up to him last night. My memory of my WMA64 was the first time I remember being used to an 800 spin Hotpoint. 800 was fast to me until I then got. Now here's the funny thing. I was talking about my neighbour that used to live here. They had their Maloney Service M9511W washer dryer, which is 1100. Then they got an Indesit W123, which was a 1200. And we had an 800 spin Hotpoint. So bless him for taking an interest, in mine as well. We'd argue over whose machine was the fastest. And I was jealous because they had a 1200 machine. I remember he'd come around and say, how fast is your machine? I say, oh, mine's an 800 spin. He'd go, oh, mine's 1200, because I obviously told him his was a 1200. And he'd argue that with me. And he'd always come around and say it when my machine was on. Then we get a Hotpoint WMA64. He comes around to me and says it again. And he says, how fast is your machine then? I'm like, 1400. He never said a word after that. I wasn't expecting the machine to be so fast. I didn't know how fast 1400 actually was and how it looked and sounded. And obviously with a brush motor it sounds more intense. So I was there watching that final burst. The machine goes 600, 1000, 1400. And I just remember going like when I heard the machine ramp up to 1000 and then obviously it goes up to 1400. I just remember how intense that moment was, because you'd be waiting, it'd be at 1000 and then you'd hear the motor dip slightly. And then it would just take off and go to 1400. And the motor always would give off this scream when it hit 1400. It was like the machine was saying, I'm at 1400. It would show off the speed, and you just look at the machine and you just see the door rattling, and you see the side panels used to like tremor. And it just used to be like the greatest moment, hearing that machine speed up. And that is the moment I'm looking forward to when I get another WMA64 at some point. It is on my list to get, and I'm going to make sure I get one. But yeah, that is that's going to be the greatest thing. But it was the one memory I have of that machine. And so far, I've never come across a 1400 WMA. Well, no, I did a Hotpoint WMA58, but I didn't know that the spin site, the fast spin, only takes it to 1200. So I've only heard a WMA46 do 1300. But it was close enough. But hey, it's going to happen someday. Yeah, that's another one I remember. So I think one of everyone's favourite washing machine moments is probably the first time you remember going into an appliance store. Most of the people I associate, well, that comment and whatnot, their first memories of going into Curry's or Comet, which disappeared in 2000, and was it 2011 they disappeared? Comet, I can't remember when they went. Well, they were like the cheaper version of Curry's, I think. Yeah. Well, I remember like some people telling me, oh, they first remember going to Curry's when like the Hotpoint WT960 was out, the WF series and whatnot. Well, this will tell you, and it makes me feel old when I say it. My first time going into Curry's, right, was I remember seeing the last of the Hotpoint WM range on sale. So like the Cassata, but obviously not that type, not the Cassata range. You had the Zanussi Directors, the first Jets, like the last classic Jet System models, Hoover Performers, Quattros. I remember going in when all that was around. In fact, they still have the Indesit EcoSense models out when I went into Curry's. I briefly remember the Bosch Hydro Sensor. I mean, the range before the Hydro Sensor, when all that was brand new. The Margarita 2000s, the old style Ariston Margaritas as well. I remember being in Curry's when, and this we're talking like 2000. I was there when the first WMAs came out. I remember when they first came out and how amazing they just looked, all their colours and whatnot. Yeah, that's one of my biggest memories. Oh, we had a Curry's here. So when I filmed the one in Brentford, it used to be across the road on its own, and you'd go. Then that used to be the PC World when PC World was on its own. And I remember going into that Curry's and them having the Zanussi IZ range out in the front of the store. They had the silver one and then they had the white one, I think, next to it. But yeah, I remember going into Currys when all that was around. I remember the first WMAs. I remember the Ariston Margaritas being there. Maloney Services, the Miele W900 series. I remember seeing them out. In fact, I remember one time when I was in reception. We're talking like 2002 here. My Uncle Gary, Auntie Kate, and my cousins all came down from Wales to here. And my Uncle Gary needed to get his car checked at the Halfords in Isleworth, in the Ivy Bridge estate. It's where Charlie would probably remember this place. They had a Comet there, and then I think it became Currys. But I remember it being a Comet. I think it was a Comet. It must have been. Might have been a Comet. I don't know. But basically, I went in there, and I remember seeing a Miele W487 WPS, brand new on the shop floor. It was the first time I'd actually seen the Comfort Line one, and I remember thinking, I've got the toy of that. Obviously, moments before sitting out on a grip bin with my cousins, and Concorde flew over. Not relevant to the subject, but just want to let you know that's also what happened on the same day. That was a great moment for me, actually. I might do some other moments, actually, regarding trains and aviation on this channel. Yeah, that actually might be a good idea. So yeah, I remember that happening. I also remember seeing my first Miele. My dad actually knew about them. He said they were the best quality machines. And my first ever Miele I saw was a Miele Premier 300. That's the W304, that is. It's the round chunky door, like the W800 series had, but it's the cabinet of my Miele. Yeah, continuing on about that. So, yeah, my dad showed me a Miele Premier 300 in our local Currys in Ealing Broadway, where the H&M is in there. If anyone knows Ealing Broadway, they used to be Currys there. And then that's when Currys and Dixon's were two different stores. Dixon's were like the Currys digital, they were. I remember that. Dixon's, but sometimes Dixon's did have washing machines in them. I know the one in Hounslow did. They had a Dixon's there, and because obviously Currys is part of the Dixon's retail. Yeah, I remember that. They had the WMAs in natural linen there. They also had. I remember also stealing a manual out of a Hotpoint WD860 in that same store, as well as a Bosch XL7 1400 Express. I took it out of. Again, I lost those manuals. But I had to go in there and take all the manuals. I even stole a manual out of a Colton dishwasher that was there. I had to take all sorts from there. I also remember in the Currys over here, a lot of my memories come from Currys, shaking a Creda Simplicity dryer and getting told off by the staff. Oh, that's right. I also remember seeing the WD64 when it first came out, and the WD63, and I always wanted that model. I remember looking at it and thinking I wanted a washer dryer so badly. Oh, also, my dad had a Maloney service in his flat in West Ruislip. It was just from like 2004 to 2005, or 2006 actually, in that place. And it was a service M6115 1100 spin. It was like a crossover between the Easy Logics and the... Well, yeah, it was like the Easy Logic. It was a crossover model. That machine, though, I don't think... Part of me thinks it didn't even have a balance sensor because it never kicked in. And I know that those ones do kick in at times, although I think they don't really that much. Basically, my dad's girlfriend decides to wash a bath mat and towels on that machine. Not a good idea considering they ball the load up before they go into spin. It always used to shut the pump off. And I kid you not, that machine jumped. I think it was just nearly as violent as my 953 can be. It jumped out so badly, it hit the worktop. And it came up by about 3 foot. I don't know what the people downstairs must have thought, but that machine used to vibrate all over that kitchen floor. But I think it's just a Maloney thing for them. They all did that. Remember that? I remember being scared of it because it used to ramp up so quickly to 1100. It was the same way that with my next door neighbour's Maloney service washer dryer. I was scared of the pump on it and how quickly it would go up to 900, and then it would do those stages where it would click and it would then keep ramping up and eventually it would just hit 1100. Yeah, I remember that. And then he had a Bosch WFF 1401, which Washer 2007's got one. And that was in their next flat. That one was on a wooden floor. And yes, for those who don't think that washing machines and wooden floors are a bad idea, they are. Because that machine, my dad thought it was on a concrete floor, but every time it would go up to 1200, it used to walk. It would either walk forward or it would wedge itself behind the cabinet. It used to walk sideways, and it was a fun machine to watch though. But I remember complaining because it used to take so long on the wash. But I remember when it would start, it would go fill, drain, fill. No, drain. No, fill, drain, fill. It would do because it used to go through the pre-wash part. Yeah, remember that. Great experience I've had. That's not all of them though. Definitely remember as well, on the subject of compact dryers, being so small in curries that I could peep into the compact dryers they used to have, and I always remember that smell you'd get from them. In fact, who else likes that new rubber smell you get from a washing machine when you first buy it? I just love that smell. I actually go into curries and smell inside the machines. It's just such a nice smell that they have. Yeah, it is a really nice smell that they have. It's always a nostalgic smell. And no matter what machine it is, they always smell like that. But I remember that whenever we get a new machine, you smell that. And that feeling of just putting on your first wash load in a brand new machine you brought. Very much the same way like we're getting a vintage machine. But it's just, I remember actually in school, the Whirlpool solutions we had there, the AWM336. I remember purposely taking people to the welfare room there just to go and see it spin. I was known for doing that, and I sat down and watched it doing the final spin one time. I was even just invited in there at times to just come and watch it. But they never plumbed it in properly when I had a photo of it I had an old LG chocolate phone. I don't know what happened to it. It might have been there somewhere. I took a photo of it one day because I snuck my phone into school. I was really naughty. I snuck my phone in school and just went and did that. But yeah, I took a photo of it. I've had some great experiences. And there's even been ones with dishwashers. Like the first time I knew what a dishwasher was, hearing the sound of them in action, seeing them in curries. I just used to love... I remember in New Zealand, where my Uncle Richard used to live, Uncle Richard and Auntie Brenda, before they moved to Australia, they had a Hoover Elite top load. I think it was on a Hoover Elite 940. They always said it was a Fisher and Paykel for some reason. I don't know why. And it used to chug really heavily on the final spin. I never used to like it. And then it would go into spin and it would rattle. And I remember running out of the garage when the spin brake would engage, because I used to hate that sound of the spin brake. In fact, talking about top loaders, I always, to this day, I'm still scared of the Speed Queen commercial top loaders, because the way the pump engages on them and the agitator engages, it always frightens me. I did do a video of some in Australia when we were in Bunbury, but it was such a bad video trying to get it. I couldn't actually get it right. But I remember being in there, and I remember it shook it was shaking the caravan or the cabin that was in. Great story about that actually though. I don't know what I did with those videos. I think I got rid of them. Oh, I know, it was on that bloody SD card that I left there. Yeah, I've got a new SD card in there because this is the old one. If you can see it, that is the tab cracked on it. It's gone through so much use. That came from Australia, that one, and I've just recently brought a new one and put it in there, 64GB one. But I had a 32GB one in Australia, and I left it in the chalet that we were in. A stupid idea, but oh well. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any more I can think of. I also think there's another one actually I've got regarding the WMA64. I remember Mum used to have sofa throws on our sofas, and you've obviously seen some shots of my sitting room. You've seen we got the 2-seater, and then we've got that massive 3-seater. Well, the 3-seater had we used to have these really heavy sofa throws on there. I don't know what they were made of. For some reason, Mum used to wash them on the acrylic cycle. I don't know why. So anyway, we washed them, and we washed the big one first. and Mum puts it on Acrylics 40, which only did an 800 spin. Basically, I remember knowing that the machine never balanced properly with it, but I remember Mum putting it in on the machine and standing by the door, and I think it was like the second intermediate spin or something that happened. I remember watching the machine distribute, and it was balling up, and you could hear the machine going, because the WMAs, the drums bounce around. They got a very bouncy suspension to them, very soft suspension, and they distribute very fast. I remember the machine looking really unbalanced, and I don't know why the machine didn't stop itself, because I know that WMAs, obviously, they do have an out of balance sensor. It just doesn't kick in unless it really needs to. Basically, the machine went into spin, and it jumped out by about 2 foot. Now, I've never heard such a tremendous bang from a machine before. I don't know if I don't know. I think partially, because I never saved the door glass of it, I partially think the drum probably gashed the door glass when it did that. Because I've never seen a machine get so violent like that on a spin. I think it probably beat any 9.5 that I've seen. And it suds like crazy. Not Warsaw, suds like crazy. And I remember Mum coming in to check what happened. And then it's distributing. As it stopped distributing, and it went to stop spinning and went to distribute, you heard the spring go twang, 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 twang. And then the machine decided to cut out and rebalance. And I just didn't know why it decided to do that. It was quite scary though. It was, I think, partially what made me a bit afraid of that machine. Yeah, it was a crazy machine at times though. It never liked towels either. It used to throw itself around with towels. Obviously they were like that, but yeah, it was a very fun machine. Going on to some more recent experiences, I also recall my first time seeing a machine do 2000 RPM, and 1800 was the AEG Lavmat 8, was it 88840 up, 88830 update I think it was that they've got. Seen that do 1800. And the 2000 RPM ASCO. I can't describe what it's like to see a machine spin so fast. But basically, the machine ramps up, the machine goes to 1600, and you think that the machine's at top speed, and all of a sudden you hear it shift into high gear. It's literally like a helicopter on the moment it's going to take off. Your eyes literally can't keep up with it spinning, and it's just... Now, I'm not afraid of any modern machine. I can sit... In fact, if aside from a 9.5, I'm not really afraid of any machine to sit in front of it. Of course, if it's unbalanced, though, they can be. But even the Cassata, I'm not. However, the 2000 RPM ASCO, I was afraid to... I did sort of back up a bit in my chair. Because you do think a machine spinning that fast and it's unbalanced, you don't think... You're just thinking what could happen, But it was intense. It was a great machine. And obviously how loud it was when it hit 2000, considering that the Garanya WA65205 that Witchwasher has makes hardly a sound at 2000. And obviously the Garanya, so the ASCO sounds like it literally sounds like a helicopter. Like a pneumatic drill. But it's been some great experiences over my life. There's probably more that I can't think of. Probably got to dig right down, but if I do that, I'll probably be here for hours. So I'm going to end this video now with my greatest #1 experience in my life with a washing machine. And I think some of you might actually know what it is. We're going to go to 16th of January 2018. Can anyone remember what happened on that date? And if you're thinking what it is, yes, you're right. The day I got my Hoover A3060. So I've told you the story many times about what happened with that machine. Luke Skelding found the machine for me, and I went psycho going after it. And of course I bidded up the price to something extraordinary, which probably only for that machine I'd do. Basically, they told me 16th of January it was going to arrive, and it arrived. They said to me she was coming at 9:10. But they arrived at 8:35. I was just about to get up, and I hear a knock at the door, and I know exactly what it is. I knew who would be coming, and the van pulls up, and they got a box there, and they bring it in through the door. I pay them. Now, I sadly did not film this because I was on the phone to Luke Skelding at the time when it happened, but I did get a video of it coming through the door. but I don't know where it is. You can tell I'm excited, but I don't really say anything because the guys are still here. As soon as they go, I tore that machine's wrapper off like no tomorrow. They wrapped it very well though, like probably better than a new machine is wrapped. I remember pulling it off and then seeing the lid, and then I saw the drawer, Electronic 1100. I was like that, and literally, I think when Luke ever gets a channel, I hope he does comment on this video because he will vouch for this. He was the only one that can confirm this. I put my phone on the stairs to let him see it, and I literally stood there and I started like sobbing because I couldn't believe that was an A3060 there. The machine I'd waited 12 years for, and I did wait 12 years because it was 2006 I saw one on YouTube when a guy called Mark had them. He was called Hoover 3060 and he became Sparky Marky 3060 or Sparky Mark 1973. And yeah, I just remember tearing that wrapper apart, putting it on a spin for the first time, and hearing, obviously knew the motor bearings needed doing, but like it was just the greatest feeling ever to hear that machine spin. Seeing the fact it had the original black Hoover hose, and that's why I love that machine so much. Now we are doing everything we can to get that machine up and running again. Well, we just need a new motor, but it depends when Rob and Steve can send it. I will ask them at some point, no, but I won't rush them. I'm happy to wait about that. So we'll just see what we got. So that brings us to the end of the washing machine experiences and appliance experiences video. I hope you all enjoyed that. If you were inspired to make any videos like this yourself, please go ahead and do that. And if you guys want to comment below about, I really appreciated all the comments on the other video I did where you're all telling me about some of the machines you had. Some quite interesting machines some people had. A couple of people seem to have had a Hotpoint WM52. Yeah, they were quite common machines that people will have as the first. Some people still have them now. My friend Harry, who is, what's he called now? Nostalgic Music Lover, he's on it. His uncle, I think, still has a WM52. I was like, oh my god, can't believe that. But they show us they still go. I do know WM Rangers that are still going. I mean, you just need to see the amount that are on eBay. There are some that are still going. So anyway, guys, a little bit of an update. We're uploading a bulk load of videos. So we've just uploaded the hairdryer video I got. Yes, that very unusual looking hairdryer, which is quite a good one. And then I've uploaded this. We are doing one more video of the 9530. That'll be totaling to 6 videos of that machine coming up. You'll see a new detergent trial on that machine. It'll be one that we've already trialed before, but it's going in that machine. And then I'm also going to do the daily update on the Corona, weekly update, that I'm going to tell you guys how I'm coping with it, and a place for you guys to drop your comments and let me know how you're doing and what you're feeling. And then I think I'm going to start doing some sleep aid videos, so like maybe my meter on the spin, sound of a Hotpoint motor, and the white night dryer. I've got a couple of irons and more hair dryers to do, so look forward to that. I'm going to be looking for some more as well. And what I'm going to be doing, guys, is probably on Monday, putting the 9530 into storage. I'm temporarily going to bring the Cassata back. I know that we had I know that obviously March was the month of the Cassata, but obviously I haven't got any other working machines. I don't know, because the A3060 might not be, I don't know what's happening with that yet, when I'm going to get the motor, but we'll see what happens. So we might do like maybe 2 videos of the Cassata, maybe. Has that done Drift yet? I can't remember if that's done Drift, or have I done one already? I don't know. I don't know if I've done that machine with Drift yet. I don't know. We'll see. But I hope to get the A3060 back, and I'm just looking for a washer dryer. I have quite a few models in mind, but I might have to make some decisions with getting a washer dryer. I'll update that in a video at some point. But yeah, so that's what you guys got to expect. Thank you for all your comments, and guys, thank you all for doing your part, staying safe in quarantine. Oh, by the way, I know you might be questioning that you just saw a machine in the intro. It is a Miele from the 1990s by Theo Klein. It's like the Tides Junior washer. I got this from Germany in January, and I was meant to do a video. But the problem is, I can't. It came without a seal. I've tried putting sealant, and it won't work. So I don't know what else I can do, really. I might just have to get rid of it and buy another one. Yeah, so it is a shame, because it is one that I always wanted. It does work, but it hasn't got any batteries in it at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. Basically, it's just the Tides Junior washer with the Miele sticker over it. But it's a very... See? But that's that. So, we're also, guys, I want to just say thank you for all of you new subscribers that have recently got me up to about 3,955. I think it is, I don't know, I have to check. I think it's 56 actually. I'm only 44 away from 4,000 subscribers, so I've got an idea for a 4,000 subscriber special video. So guys, honestly, when I see my subscriber count going up all the time, it really touches my heart. I'm grateful for every one of you. And I'm sorry if there's guys I don't always get around to replying to your comments. I try as best I can. YouTube is being very weird at the moment with my comments because it says that there are stuff that, you know, in the comment section, so held for review. It's saying I've got 2 in there, but I can't find these comments. So if there's any, and YouTube doesn't let me know when you guys reply to one of my comments. So I don't know why it does that. It used to let me know that you've replied, so I'm sorry that there's times I don't reply to comments like 3 days later, but I do my best, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay safe, and don't forget to keep it supreme and go with the flow. Bye for now.